Hello, welcome back to UTSRC. So today we are going to tackle the bodywork on the WPL C24-1. Let's get on it. Hello, so welcome back to part 3. So we're going to make a start weathering and basically attacking the bodywork on the WPL. What I want to try, I've never actually done this before, but I'm going to try and put some dents in the side. I have also, grab that, got some of this milliput filler, basically, or two-part epoxy putty. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill in some holes. Now, I quite like scale rigs. I like the rigs to look, when you take a photograph, you sort of question and go, is that real? Is it not? So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill in these two mounting holes for the side step because these never had a side step. So I'm going to fill in those two holes. When I paint this, we're going to have a black wing. I'm also going to fill in these two holes as well. So basically, Kevin, when he bought his knee replacement wing, Kevin, when he bought his replacement wing for his rig, he got the wrong year, and he didn't have the holes for the snorkel. So we're going to fill them in. I'm going to leave that black. So I'm going to do some scars, some dents. I'm going to faff around with some of the arches, as well as on the truck bed as well. So we're going to put some scuffs. We're going to put some dents here and there. Yeah. So let's get on with that. Before you start doing all this, decide where you want your damage to go. So this wing's being replaced, so we don't need to damage anything on that side. So this wing, I suspect, is going to get some damage along the edges. Then into the door, I suspect it's going to get some damage here. Then if you couple it with the truck bed, it's probably going to get a little bit of damage down here, and obviously onto the arch. Now I'll probably do something similar on the other side, but I also want to start scuffing up the arches a little bit. I've borrowed a Dremel to do a little bit of damage on there. It basically means scuffing all the arches, putting small holes in, making it look like rust. I think I may try and do something with the back as well. We'll see if we can't sort of dent things in here, and yeah. Anyway, so what do we need for this? You're going to need a heat source. A lighter will do. And as it's bouncing off rocks, just pick yourself a rock up so you can literally press the indentations of the rock so it looks a little bit more realistic. So let's give it a whirl. So let's have a bit of damage. In fact, let's do a little bit of damage here first and see how we get on. So we want to heat the plastic. Okay. Then from this side, possibly a little bit more. Like so. Get the rock. I think this is probably going to need a little bit more because that's just, yeah, that's just making it go black. Okay, let's try again. Like I say, I've never done this before, so this is all pretty new territory. Okay, you can see it starting to go there. So I'll get the rock and we'll push that in, and what we'll do, we'll give it a good scratch down that side. Okay, if it gets too much, you can always push it back out a little bit, because don't forget you still have to mount this body back onto the chassis. And there we go, we have a dent in the door. That has come out really quite well. Obviously when we paint this, because this will be painted as well, all this is going to be black on the inside. We're going to do black on the outside as a nice base coat, We're then going to mask up the window areas so it looks like it's got the black window seals, and then we're going to hit it with another few paint steps. But before we get there, let's damage this body a little bit more. I'm really quite impressed with that. It's come out quite well. Right, I'll carry on. Top tip, make sure there's enough gas in the lighter. There we go. There is the denting. Now, I've done a little bit around the arches. I've kind of really butchered that one. As you can see, it's just a case of heating it and bending it to where you think damage is going to occur. And you put it up to that one, you can see it's obviously the same rock, it's bounced off. I've done a little bit around these arches, a little bit around that edge, that corner, a little bit along there, and again same on the other side. And this door we have just done quite a deep gouge, so with that, when we do get the paint on and we can get the acrylic paint in there, we can do those as rust runs, because that will have gone through. I've test fit them onto the truck and they fit absolutely fine. So the next thing is to get the Dremel, and my plan is to go through some of the arches here. I forget what it's called, the burring tool I think it is, and just to really thin out the arch from the underside, just so it goes through, so it looks like the rust has actually eaten through the bodywork. So I'll do a little bit on that arch, and I suspect around the back here, and maybe sort of around this edge. Okay, let's get on with that. So welcome to the shed. Okay, so we've got our body that's been suitably battered and bruised. We have just plugged in the rotary tool, and I'm going to use this tip, and what I'm going to do is go from the underside of the arch and take away some plastic from the inside and make a couple of holes, or maybe just one. So go through the back and then come through this side and sort of feather it around so it looks like the rust has eaten through the bodywork. So let's get on with that. Never done this before, so I thought, you know what, let's give it a whirl. So we'll start off at a fairly slow speed so we're not going to melt the plastic. Number 4. Right, hopefully you can see this. Let's get on with this. Okay, so we've come through there. So we'll attack it from this way now, he says. Okay, right, let's just turn this off a sec. So we need to tidy this up, obviously, because there's a little bits of plastic, so we'll get a file on that. You can see, back a little bit, little burn through marks. So what I might do is just sort of bring it down onto the arch, so it looks like it's sort of eaten through the arch a little bit. And then we'll carry on, maybe do a little bit at the base here. Okay, so there we go, taking the edges down a little bit. So don't forget, when you do paint over this and you've got those little raised edges, that will add to the effect of the rust bubbling. Okay, so we've not gone all the way through on that one, but it's just starting to get the hole. So I find if you go through it, and then from the other side, go just left and right a bit, and what it does is it sort of thins the hole. Like so. Okay, so there we have one arch with the holes knocked in. I think what I'll need to do as well is just rough up the bottom of the doors. Just so it adds a little bit of texture when we come to add the paint. And also, it's a little bit of a messy job, but worth it in the long run. Let's try a little bit more on that arch. That's better. So, just gone through, so the slightest of holes. Excellent. Right, I will carry on and I will come back to you when we are done. So the sudden realization is that's quite an enjoyable step. So let me show you where we're at. Hopefully we can pick this up on the camera. I have put some damage to the roof. I've not gone on the inside of the damaged roof due to the fact that when you put the plastic window back in, obviously you'd need to make the plastic bend to the bend that's in the roof. So I've just gone on the top, and you can just see I've just put some scuffs. I've just put some divots in there from where it sort of rolled over. The arch is done. So I've scuffed up the arch. I've scuffed up this bit. Put some more gouges in the door, at the bottom of the door there, just at the side. This side we've not gone onto the arch. Nearly forgot and went onto the arch a little bit there, but never mind. We've done a little bit more on there. Put a little bit of damage down there, just thinning the plastic. So again, so it just looks like rust starting to eat into it. But I'm hoping, because I've left it quite jaggedy, and some of the bits that are in there, it'll give the paint a little bit of texture. So that's the cab and the bed. Obviously we've done much the same. Got some good old rust holes in there, really scuffed it up, gone along the edge as well, put a few little divots in there, because let's not forget it's from the 90s, this van, so it's had a tough paper round, bless it. So I've done the rear arches obviously, and I've cut some away from the back and the other side. So there you are. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go back in the house, get back in the den, and I'm going to start doing the putty. Now I've never done the putty either, so we're going to give that a go. I'm going to fill these holes in, I'm going to fill these two holes in, yeah, and I'll see how we get on. Right, from reading online, this stuff can be a little bit sort of irritating to your skin, so it recommends you to wear some gloves. So I've got some gloves, got some tin foil to put that on once I've mixed it. I've got that to put the lining across the bottom of the door. I've got that to cut it. It also says to use a little bit of water, which I've got there to help smooth it out. So get my gloves on, we'll get this cut and let's see how we get on. So I'm sorry that that video was absolutely appalling, but I was trying to concentrate on filling the holes that I forgot where the camera was. Anyway, so there we go, it's infilled. There is the other side. Obviously we've left it proud so we can file it down, or sand it down should I say, when it is dry. So that takes 3 to 4 hours to fully cure. So I think we'll call it on this one and come back when it's dry and we can sand it, and we'll have another look at it then. Okay, so it's been 24 hours now. That's dried nice and hard in there. Both sides looking great. Dried off enough on there so we can get some sandpaper on there. Rub that down, and then we can move on to the next step. There we go, both sides rubbed down. That's that, and the wing done. And that side as well. So the next thing to do is get a scouring pad, go over all the shininess, all the shiny white, and there, scuff it up a little bit, and then we can put our base coat down, and I think that is going to be black. So let's get on with that. Okay, so the next plan is to get some primer onto this. Yeah, I'm not going to film it because I don't want to get paint all over my camera, but I will come back to you once we are in primer. really pleased with how that's come out. So I think now it's going to be time to hit it with the black. So I think we'll start with the underside and get that done first. So the black is done, and it's come out quite nice actually, because it's really sort of brought out the damage on the body. So the next job is to mask around these windows. I was going to mask around the front, but I think it will be easier to run some mask on this side after I've painted it all and then colour this in with a black Sharpie. So we shall get on with the masking now. Right, so we have the masking done. That is completed on both sides. I was going to keep the B-pillar black. Sorry, I was going to paint the B-pillar, but I'm thinking I might keep that black as well, just to do something a little bit different. Obviously, you can see we have masked up the wing, so that will be staying black. So yes, so the next step is to paint it with TS1 from Tamiya. So this is going to be your base coat for the rust layer. So let's get into the spray booth, the shed, and spray some of this on. So there is the TS1 on the cab and the truck bed. Next thing we need to do now is get the acrylic browns on there. Okay, so these are the two paints we're going to use. We've got raw sienna, if it focuses, raw sienna, and burnt umber. Right, let's get those on the show. Right, so we've got the cab, so we need to get some water on it. So just get yourself a paintbrush, just wet the body. So for now, we'll just do the bonnet and I'll carry on with the rest. So, lots of water in there. With the darker. Literally go along with the darker paint, putting it all over the body. Like so. Can't really tell at the moment. Once it's dry, I will come back and I shall show you. So after a little bit of time and perseverance, you should end up with something that looks like that. Just a case of getting your brush, and I've gone on with it quite dry as well, as opposed to being too wet. I think it's come out quite nice. Might put some more highlights just on this bit. So there's the truck bed. It all looks a bit intense at the minute, but once it gets the colour on it and the hairspray, you're only going to scrub off certain areas, like around the arches and around here. So yeah, pretty pleased with that. So the next step is to get the oil wash on. Now the oil wash you need to leave for at least 24 hours to dry, but hopefully that will darken it all up and give it an even better or a more realistic look. So let's crack on with that. So we're going to use Vallejo pigment. Now this is black, as you can see, and we're going to put some airbrush thinner. So we're going to do a nice thin mix and just paint that over the entire body. So by the magic of YouTube, this is now dry. As you can see, it does dry quite a little bit darker, but you do have these textured tones from the paint. I have just added a few more little bits of the lighter brown as well, just on the edges there, just to lighten those areas up. But once it's had its top coat of paint, you can still go over and add the orange to the areas that you wish, or should I say the lighter browns to the areas that you wish. So the next step in this paint is going to be hairspray. Now we are going to apply 3 coats of hairspray to this. I have a sunny day, so I am going to go and put these outside and give them 3 good coats of hairspray. Any hairspray will do, as long as it is hairspray. Okay, the hairspray is done, looking all nice and shiny. We will soon sort that out. So what paint are we going to do this body in? We are going to do TS23, otherwise known as light blue. So I'm going to go and throw some paint on this, and I will come back to you when that stage is complete. And there is the body in blue. I love that colour. That is stunning. Obviously it's very shiny, and we don't want that. We want the rust. Now I know you're thinking to yourself, Ian, why have you painted it? You've gone to all that effort of making it look battered, and now you've painted it a lovely blue. Well, this is where the fun starts. So what you need to do, you need to get yourself one of these. You need to get some water on that, and then you need to start scrubbing. Let me show you what I mean. Right, so take said bodywork and get a little bit of water onto the body and start scrubbing. Literally scrub at it. Now, it's probably not going to look like anything's happening, but you just keep going and just watch, and it will start to happen. Okay, so after a little bit of scrubbing, you can see, it's starting to happen. So what's actually happening is the water is reacting with the hairspray that's underneath and starting to blister the paint. So basically, carry on like this. You can see it a little bit more on that side. See if it'll focus. Carry on like this, and I will come back to you and show you the outcome. Okay folks, so there we have it. After an awful lot of scrubbing, we have the rusted paintwork. Obviously I've taken the masking off as well, so you can see the new wing. Obviously the lad's had an accident in his new wing as well, which is a bit unfortunate. it's taken a little bit of the black off the side of the windows, but to be honest with you, it kind of fits with the keeping of the rest of the car, to be honest with you. There you go. So all I've done is I've gone back over it with the sienna and the umber, and I have done this in black, but again gone over it with the burnt umber and the sienna. And also I have used just a couple of these pigments here as well, the rust pigments. Yeah, and basically used them for that. So there we go. I think we'll wrap it up for this one. I think we're over half an hour for this video, so next time we will attack the interior. Thanks for watching, guys. See you on the next one. Bye for now.